Have you ever caught yourself doing this? You open your phone just to check one thing, and suddenly you're deep into videos, opinions, advice, explanations, and after all that, you feel like you know more. But then someone asks you a simple question about what you just saw, and your mind freezes. You remember the conclusion, but you don't remember how you got there. It's like you borrowed the answer without building the thinking behind it. And that right there is the beginning of something most people don't even notice. Smart people are not losing intelligence. They are losing the ability to think deeply. Let's slow this down. Imagine two people. One person reads a problem and immediately searches for the answer. The other person reads the same problem, sits with it, struggles with it, maybe even gets it wrong, but keeps thinking. At the end, both might arrive at the same answer, but their minds are not the same. One has trained their brain to receive answers. The other has trained their brain to create them. And over time, that difference becomes everything. We live in a world where answers are everywhere. Any question, any confusion, any doubt can be resolved in seconds. And that sounds like progress, but there's a hidden cost. Because when answers become instant, thinking becomes optional. Your brain is designed to be efficient. It doesn't want to waste energy. Deep thinking is expensive. It requires focus, patience, and effort. So when your brain realizes there's a shortcut available, it takes it. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain is trying to save energy. Now imagine doing this every single day. Every time you feel confused, you search. Every time you feel unsure, you scroll. Every time you face a decision, you look for someone else's opinion. At first, it feels helpful, but slowly, your brain stops trying. It stops exploring. It stops questioning. And this is how thinking disappears. Not suddenly, but silently. Think about the last time you made a decision. What to wear, what to eat, how to respond to someone, what to believe about a situation. How much of that came from your own thinking, and how much of it came from something you saw, heard, or read? Most people don't even realize how influenced they are, because the thoughts feel like their own, but they're not. They're assembled from pieces of other people's thinking. Let's take a simple example. You see a video that says, if someone doesn't reply quickly, they don't value you. It sounds logical, it feels relatable, so you accept it. Now, the next time someone replies late, you don't think about context, you don't consider possibilities, you don't ask questions, you just react. You feel ignored, you feel disrespected, and your behavior changes. But what really happened? You didn't think, you applied a borrowed rule. This is how modern thinking works for many people. Not original thought, but pattern adoption. And here's where it gets even deeper, because it's not just about information, it's about how that information is delivered. Most of what you consume today is designed for speed. Short videos, quick tips, bold claims, strong opinions. Everything is simplified, everything is compressed, everything is made to be understood in seconds. But real thinking doesn't work like that. It's messy, it's slow, it requires you to hold multiple possibilities at once. It requires you to doubt, to question, to rethink. But when your brain gets used to fast content, it loses patience for slow thinking. It's like eating fast food every day. At first, it's convenient, then it becomes a habit, and eventually, healthy, slow-cooked food feels boring. In the same way, deep thinking starts to feel uncomfortable. You start avoiding complexity. You prefer simple answers. You look for certainty, even when reality is uncertain. And this leads to something dangerous: confidence without understanding. You'll see people speak with absolute certainty about things they've barely explored. They repeat ideas, defend opinions, argue passionately. But if you ask them to explain why they believe it, they struggle. Because they didn't build the thought, they borrowed it. And here's the scary part. The smarter someone is, the better they become at defending borrowed ideas. Because intelligence doesn't automatically mean independent thinking. It just means the ability to process information. So if a smart person stops thinking critically, they don't become silent, they become convincing. They can take a shallow idea and make it sound deep. They can take a borrowed opinion and make it feel original. And that creates an illusion of intelligence, without true understanding. Now let's go even deeper. Your brain operates in two modes. One is fast. It reacts instantly. It's emotional. It's automatic. The other is slow. It analyzes. It questions. It reflects. The fast mode is useful. It helps you make quick decisions. It protects you in dangerous situations. But the slow mode, that's where real thinking happens. The problem is, modern life constantly activates the fast mode. Notifications, headlines, arguments, opinions. Everything is designed to trigger immediate reactions. So your brain spends most of its time reacting, not thinking. And over time, the slow mode becomes weaker, not because it's gone, but because it's unused. This is why people feel mentally exhausted even when they haven't done any deep thinking, because reacting constantly still drains energy, but it doesn't build clarity. You end up overwhelmed, confused, uncertain, yet constantly stimulated. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. And eventually, you stop trusting your own mind. You start depending on others, experts, influencers, popular opinions, because it feels safer. But safety comes at a cost. You lose independence. Now here's the truth most people avoid. Thinking for yourself is uncomfortable. It means sitting with uncertainty. It means questioning things you've always believed. It means possibly being wrong. And the human mind hates being wrong, so instead it prefers certainty, even if that certainty is false. That's why people cling to simple explanations. That's why they avoid deeper questions. That's why they follow the crowd, because thinking independently requires courage. But here's the turning point. The ability to think deeply is not lost forever. It's just neglected. And like any skill, it can be rebuilt. It starts with awareness, noticing when you're reacting instead of thinking, noticing when you're accepting instead of questioning. Then comes a small but powerful habit: pause. The next time you see something that feels true, don't accept it immediately. Ask yourself, is this always true? What am I missing? What are other possibilities? This simple pause reactivates your thinking. Another powerful shift is learning to sit with questions. Instead of rushing to find answers, stay with the question. Let it exist. Let it bother you. Let your mind explore it. Because thinking is not about speed, it's about depth. Also, reduce the noise. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your acceptance. Not every piece of information deserves space in your mind. The more noise you remove, the clearer your thinking becomes. And finally, start trusting your own mind again. At first, it will feel slow, uncertain, maybe even frustrating. But that's part of the process, because you're not just learning new information, you're rebuilding a lost skill, the ability to think. And once you start thinking independently, something powerful happens. You become less reactive, less influenced, less controlled by external opinions. You start seeing things more clearly, understanding things more deeply, and making decisions more confidently. Because now, your thoughts are truly yours. And in a world full of noise, opinions, and endless information, that might be the rarest skill of all. So the next time you feel the urge to instantly search for an answer, pause. Give your mind a chance. Because the scary truth isn't that people are becoming less intelligent, it's that they're forgetting how to use their intelligence. And the moment you start thinking for yourself again, you realize something most people never do. Your mind was never the problem. It was just never given the time to think.